Wes, very good to see you. Today, let's talk about 3 considerations before making a Roth conversion. Roth accounts are an amazing tool when it comes to creating wealth, and Roth IRAs are not subject to RMDs and they can pass on to your heirs tax-free. So if you are debating a Roth conversion, there are 3 considerations. First, what will your future tax rate be?
It is a very important decision when you're evaluating these types of things, and it's not so straightforward. And we do have RMDs from Roth, but the key is they're not taxable. So
Yeah.
you have to take into consideration a few different things, and that could be, do you think that you're going to be in a higher tax rate in the future than you are today? And I know that's kind of a hard question to answer, but for many people that are retiring, they're losing a lot of the deductions that provide them with a lower effective tax rate today. And we look at where the national debt is, that's increasing each and every day, every second. We are nearly over 35 trillion now. And at some point, we have to have revenue to pay for that. I mean, we have interest payments that are well over $1 trillion per year. So in all likelihood, tax rates will have to go up in the future. And we'll see, I'm sure we'll chat about, Aaron, how historical tax rates, weren't so friendly compared to where we are today. So
Yeah.
consider where you think they're going to be in the future for you personally.
And we will get into that. But first, you also need to consider when you'll need access to the funds. Why is that?
That's important because we don't want to access Roth IRA money that we just recently converted. You want to give that time to compound and get that benefit of growing in a tax-free type of account like a Roth IRA.
Okay. And then, of course, when considering a conversion, it all comes down to one question. Do you want to pay tax on the account, or do you want your beneficiary to pay tax on the account? And then you have to consider their future tax rate.
That's right. And of course, if you're leaving money to, let's say that you predeceased your spouse, and your spouse, that becomes their IRA, and they're now a single filer. Well, those tax brackets look a lot different. Their effective tax rate can certainly increase, so that could be a tax burden for them, as well as if you leave it to your kids and they inherit the money during their peak earning years, then they're going to have required minimum distributions under current tax law. They have to deplete that at a minimum of 10 years, right? Or maximum, rather, is a better way to say that. And so oftentimes we find that people may inherit, say, $1 million IRA or even less. It doesn't really matter what the number is, but they have to take distributions, and that's on top of their earned income. Well, if they're making really good income today, then obviously their effective tax rate can be a lot higher just because they have to take money out, even though they don't necessarily need it for current cash flow.
Right. And then the IRS is pretty much your beneficiary. So let's circle back to why we are having this conversation today. As you mentioned, Wes, we are living in a historically low tax rate. Many financial experts believe the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 reduced federal income tax rates to the lowest they may ever be. And these cuts are set to expire at the end of 2025.
That's right. So we are in a low tax rate environment right now. So I like to think of it like this. Tax rates are essentially on sale compared to where they've been historically. So if they're likely not going lower than they are today, how much of a increase is that going to be baked into the cake for you personally if tax rates just didn't change and the current law stayed the same? And we can see here that January 1, 2026, it's going to affect nearly everybody.
Right.
So hopefully those are extended as far as the tax cuts, and we have a longer time horizon to do more tax planning, Aaron, to make sure that we've got a certain amount of our money that's invested in a tax-free account like a Roth.
And just to remind everybody who's watching, it has to be done in a calendar year. You don't have up until the tax filing deadline to do a conversion.
That's right. So it can kind of be confusing because we can oftentimes contribute to a Roth IRA or IRA up until tax filing time. But these kinds of moves need to be done before December 31st or by December 31st of the current year.
Yep. And that year is ticking down, Wes, right now. So if somebody wants to call you to crunch the numbers, what's the best way to reach you?
Year-end tax planning, reach out to us, info@patriotwealthnc.com, or pick up the phone, 919-322-4113.
Great. Wes, thank you.
Thank you.